All right. I'm very thrilled. Okay. So we are dealing with 4 creators of 2 puffin-related children's books coming out practically at the exact same time. And yet, these 2 puffin books are very different in many ways, and I find them absolutely fascinating. So I have brought you all together today for this discussion. But before I do, I need to introduce you to a certain extent. I'm going to do it through your books. And then if you would like to say a little something about yourself, that is cool too. If you don't want to, that's also okay. So first, we have Linda and Colleen, who have created Puffins Fly Free, which is a rescue tale from Iceland. So this is a story about a girl named Freya. She has always dreamed of rescuing a puffling on her own, just like her older siblings. But every time she tries, the little birds just sort of slip through her fingers, and they're very hard to catch. And all the other kids catching them just fine and be like, "We got 2 tonight. How come you haven't?" And she's getting very upset as it goes. It's a fictional story, but it is based on the very real Puffling Patrol, which is a real rescue that takes place in the Westman Islands of Iceland. And both the author and illustrator have joined the Puffin Patrol and rescued birds themselves. So welcome, Colleen and Linda.
Thank you.
And then we also have Maria and Maris, who have done Puffins, which follows, it's a nonfiction, but has a very graphic novel style, follows a young puffling's life from hatching into adulthood. You learn about what it is to try to stay alive as a puffling in the world of Atlantic Puffin City. And it's really fun. It appeals to kids who are really into comics, as well as the kids who are into the nonfiction at the same time. I would say it is action-packed and nonfiction. So welcome, Maris and Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you. The first thing I want to talk about is, where did these books come from? I always like the origin stories of books, and the fact that 2 Puffin books have just come out at the same time, something's in the air. So how did this happen? Where did these originate? Who started it?
Well, there was a Smithsonian article about the puffling rescues that somebody emailed me, and I want to say it was maybe in the beginning of 2023, or I'm sure you guys know the article, Maria and Maris. But a friend emailed it to me, and the subject line was "Your next picture book." And so later that year, all the stars aligned, and I was able to go to Iceland and do the research, and actually met Linda, not even knowing that she was going to turn out to be the illustrator of the book.
Wait, how does that work?
I was looking for, I didn't have a ton of connections in Iceland, and it was kind of a last minute trip, and so I was just looking for anybody who was in Iceland. And that was back in the day when you could go to the SCBWI website and look for members. So I found her on the SCBWI website, and I sent her an email, and I said, "I'm coming to Iceland." And we also had the same, we were with the same agency at the time. And I said, "Would you like to meet for a drink?" And she met me and my husband for a drink, and she gave us a tour of little downtown Reykjavik. It was awesome. And then I went on my way to the Westman Islands.
Yeah, I gave you a few tips, I think. For things to check out. Yeah, be careful of the wind and dress in layers and all that stuff. But it was really lovely to meet you in Iceland, and wonderful that it ended up us being, working together on this book. We didn't know it at the first time that we met. So
you say the first time, so you went, I'll get into the research, but you went back later to do the Puffling Patrol, I would take it?
I only went once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, we'll get into that in a second, but I want to hear from Maria and Maris about where their book came from.
Maria started it.
Right.
Well, I visited Eastern Egg Rock Island back in 2016. I can't believe it was 10 years ago now. And like Maris, I'm a big bird nerd. I love birds. And so I was dying to see puffins when I was there. So I took the little boat tour around the island. and did a bunch of research and wrote something, and it got a few rejections, and then went into the manuscript graveyard for a few years. And then Maris and I worked on a book together called You and the Bowerbird. And so once we got to know each other, I was like, oh, she'll be perfect for Puffins. Let me resurrect this. And luckily our editor, Emily Feinberg at Roaring Book Press, thought so as well. And so that was kind of how it came, to be published anyway. So we didn't know each other at the time that I did the writing and the research. But
okay. So have all 4 of you been to Iceland? No.
I've been to Iceland.
Okay.
Oh, just me? Well, I need to go on a field trip.
Clearly, you should.
I'll give you all the tips that you
Okay, thank you.
Well,
I went in the non-puffin season. I went to see auroras because I'm kind of obsessed with auroras. So.
Wait, the puffin season and the aurora season are not the same season?
Well,
I
they
saw that.
a little.
I
Vinda
saw
can
that
probably
was
tell. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a little bit of overlap, but
Right.
Yeah.
In the spring and the fall. So kind of, I came in September when the puffins had already mostly gone on to better watery pastures.
It's interesting we were talking about, because there's like our North Atlantic puffin populations and the European populations, and they're the same species, but I feel like they get represented in very different ways, because even though puffins don't know any borders, like obviously there's a lot of countries that border them. So, and there's not always stuff that gets, like, a lot of European market books don't make it to North America or Canada, and vice versa. So when we were like, we kind of looked at like what existed, who had done what with puffins before. And I had a friend that just stopped in the Reykjavik airport, and he's like, this gift shop is amazing, and just sent me pictures. And I was like, oh yeah, there's like different places that love puffins. Like Maine has its own little, and then even in Nova Scotia, like they're a huge thing, but not compared to the, 60% of the population of Atlantic puffins reside in and around Iceland, I think.
I can't remember what the percentage is.
Around a lot of them, many of them, more than here.
a chunk.
Yeah, a chunk.
When your cat's head came up, I was kind of would have like a puffin beak on top of it, and just be like.
I thought about bringing props. He does not like to get dressed up. That would be bad.
He doesn't.
Everybody. Oh, big
Wait, do you have a video player on the shelf? I thought I saw it.
I have stickers.
You were well prepared. I'm very glad to hear that. That's excellent. Okay. Linda, I have to ask, how hard is it to capture a puffin between your hands? Have you ever done it? Have either of you done it?
Yeah, well, you did, Colleen. Well, I was, I cheated a little bit. I was basically handed a puffling, but I got to set it free. Yeah, but it was an amazing experience. But you found.
It's harder. It's harder than you would think because, they can't fly off the ground. They're not able to go into a fight. So you would think it would be easy, like you just walk up and pick it up. But they can run. So,
darn little things.
I found myself, there's one video that I have that's so funny where the first time I tried to get one, I was walking so slowly, super slow motion. And then, of course, the puffin runs away. And then the video camera just kind of goes. And then people are going, get it, just grab it.
Like Blair Witch Club.
Yeah, but it's harder than you would think.
Well, but that's what I like about your book, though, so much, is that it's like, because it's kids doing the thing, and they're trying. Kids have a hard time with hand-eye coordination to begin with, and then on top of that, you're trying to get a squidgy little bird that's running away. So without hurting it. So now you already touched on this a little bit, Maria and Maris, but so you looked at other puffin books that were European, which is fascinating in and of itself, because that's a very different kind of nonfiction to a certain extent. Whenever I go to the Bologna Book Fair and look at their nonfiction, I'm always like, oh, we are very different in what we consider nonfiction. Okay, interesting. But what kind of research did all of you do for your books? Because you have some excellent back matter, I must say. I'm a big fan of the back matter. So yeah.
I feel so. Maria went in 2016, and then when I found out the book was going to happen, I had always wanted to volunteer at Project Puffin. When I worked at the aquarium in Boston, I knew a bunch of our behind the scenes folks had gotten the chance to volunteer there for the whole season. So I was like, every book now I'm like, I can have a field trip as a little treat. So I applied, and it's pretty rigorous, but I had a bunch of field experience that looked, I mean, it was helpful because it's experience, but it also looked good on paper. I'm like, I can go work with no running water and like an outhouse and like cook food for people. Like I have like, that's a special skill set that I have. Yeah. So I volunteered for 2 weeks, but it was only 1 week on the island, and it was at the very beginning of the season. So no puffin handling, which is fine. I was happy to just like be near them. But it was like setting up the research station and like digging out the pee situation for the outhouse because we needed a new pee pipe, like the non-glamorous part of field work, which I find awesome. Yeah. But it was invaluable to be able to work with not just like some of the scientists and conservation perks who have been there for 40 years, but also some of the young researchers, and to really pick their brains about what it's like to work there, but also their knowledge of not just puffins, but seabirds and the ecology was so great to just be there the whole week, be like, I have a question about this. I have a question about this. Tell me about this. Like, what are some good resources? So I oftentimes make the case for any projects I work on now. If I can get in the field, that will make it richer. It doesn't always have to be that way, and it historically hasn't. But that's really important to me in telling the stories. Also, selfishly, I love like living in a tent, getting pooped on, and and I know that's not for everybody. So I'm not saying this is the right way to do it.
Colleen.
It's just the way that I like to do it. So yeah, the research was super fun, and I'm still like freaking out about it. And it was so nice that I could combine my experience with the back matter that Maria had already written. So I basically took the text that she had written and adapted it to have the comics, like informative stuff, mirror Maria's writing, but then frame it so that it was me sharing it, which was a really nice, like we wanted to have that human component because it's always people doing this work, whether it's rescue, conservation, research, like there's a human component to this. So
yeah.
And there are hints of that with the legs of the scientists. I mean, one of the things that I thought was so funny too, so I never actually got to go on the island. I just went on the boat tour around it, but they had their, little lean-to there that they called the Hilton, which I thought was hilarious. The Hilton on Eastern Egg Rock, very, very luxurious. So, and I will say more traditional, reading articles, watching videos, that kind of thing. And so I did have a little bit of firsthand just in terms of the tour and hearing the history and seeing him. And so what made the biggest impression on me, and maybe I didn't get to smell as much as Maris, but I saw lots of poop, and that made it into the book. And
as long as poop was involved, that's all that's important. Yeah, okay.
It's definitely important. But it was so noisy. You don't kind of realize how loud. It's just, these birds are loud.
They also go all night. Like the terns go all night, and the scientists were like, you like, I brought earplugs, but I can sleep through almost anything. But you wake up in the middle of the night, like the first couple of nights, you're like, where am I? And because it's just like
a party or something. Yeah.
And they'll also land on your tent and call. So like sometimes it's like it feels, not to go back to the Blair Witch, but like it feels a little like the tent will be shaking and there's like splatters, and it's very visceral.
Yeah. I get that. Well, I learned a lot too, but from your book, I should say, because I was doing a game night, and we were all supposed to come with a fact that we had recently learned. And the thing that popped in my head was like, butterfish are too big and the babies can't eat them. And it's because the smaller ones are like moving away. And it was like a whole thing. So, yeah. But so Colleen and Linda, what kind of research did you do on your own?
Yeah, I mean, I relied on books and, websites, but really the thing that made the book for me was actually visiting the Westman Islands, because I originally was going to write it as a nonfiction book about the Puffling Patrol. But then once I got there and I met these two women who were so nice, and who you met them too, Linda, right? Yeah. They took me on Puffling Patrol. And they, just taught me how to do everything. They were the ones in the video going, just get it, just pick it up.
It's right
there. But they impressed upon me what a big deal it is when a young person catches a puffling or rescues a puffling on their own for the very first time. And so after I heard that, I decided to switch it to fiction so that I could have a character who was actually trying to catch it for the first time. And that changed the whole book just because I went there.
Yeah.
And Linda.
Yeah. I went there as well. Well, I've visited this island, like, of course, like living in Iceland. I've been there a few times, but not to look for puffins or rescue pufflings. But it's kind of funny that, like, sometimes when something is just in your backyard, basically, you don't really notice it or think it's that the Northern Lights. For me, it's just something I grew up with, and I'm not like running out, and then you see people traveling across the world just to see that, So I had never really thought that all too much, I have to admit, about the pufflings and the rescue of it, and I didn't know too much about it. But through Colleen, of course, reading her script, and then I visited Ireland to, for the purpose of researching, sketching, taking lots of pictures. And also met a few of the people that Colleen met as well. Sandra and her sister, the Puffling Queens. Drove around the island in Sandra's minivan and got to rescue a Puffling. But for me, to, take pictures and do the research is really important for me, because I kind of knew that the book was probably going to be translated to Icelandic. So I always think it's so important to have things accurate, So I knew that Icelandic people would probably see the book. So I wanted to make sure that, like, if the kids were playing on a playground, it had to be this exact playground. Because, I don't want anyone to be like, oh, no, we don't have that there. I don't want to get that, So I really enjoyed that so much. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And I have to say, I love the book so much. We have a lot of books about rescuing baby turtles. I swear every year it's like turtles, baby turtles, save the baby turtles, which they do need to be saved. But it was nice to see something else being saved for once, and not something that people necessarily think of. And I really liked how you put in the book and talked about how kids are perfect for this, because the pufflings will like run into like small spaces that adults can't get into and the kids can get into, and the kids can spot them when the adults can't. And I thought that was it's really nice when a book that has like informational content can really tie it into something that a kid can understand, which we don't always find in these books. So, yay. So, in all the course of all this research and everything, what was a fact that you didn't know going into it that surprised you, that you came across and you were like, oh, like for me, like I say, it's the fact that butterfish are too big for the baby pufflings to eat, but they're increasingly trying. And it's so weird because I have peregrine falcons on my library that tear up the meat and feed it to their babies. And I'm like, come on, man, other birds figured this out. Just rip it up, give it in. But the puffins don't seem to have that instinct. Even though they got teeth in the upper part of their beaks there. I learned that too from both books. So yeah. But yeah, anything you learned?
Oh, okay. So this didn't make it into the book, but this was from the island. You could do it was forensics work basically. You'd find a puffin carcass and you could tell who predated it, like what ate it. And big predators for the island, obviously there's no mammals because it's an island, but we do have bald eagles and great horned owls and peregrine falcons, and which is crazy to think about a peregrine falcon taking out a puffin, right? Like that is bonkers in and of itself. We found 2 carcasses, and the naturalists who are working there were like, oh, hey, if you find one in like the keel bone, so like basically the front like chest bone where the wing muscles attach, the pectoral muscles, if it's all chopped to peck, it's going to be like a bald eagle or a great horned owl, like something that like would just like go to town. But if it's stripped perfectly and intact, it's a peregrine falcon. Like they just are like surgical. And it's fascinating because like there's it's a little bit of grossology, but at the same time, he's really just wanting to be in the chat. I'm sorry.
He's very
it's this kind of like environmental awareness of like, even though you didn't see that puffin get killed by the predator, you can identify generally what it is. And like that goes into the note taking of like, okay, like when they look at that season, they're going to be like, okay, how many predation effects did we have by bald eagles? And it's like this incredible amount of information that all feeds into looking at like the long-term survival of these animals, and you just forget that like little tiny details that maybe seem inconsequential are still important. And I feel like, you know, not to go back to turtles, but you know, they're for sea turtles in the US, if they die, you have to perform a necropsy to establish like cause of death because of its entanglement or boat strike. Like we need that data because that data goes into policy, like environmental policy. Mm-hmm. So again, doesn't necessarily show up in the book, but I do think there's these opportunities to kind of like deep dive, and even though it might not show up in the actual thing, it's informing kind of that curiosity or that deep diving or that like attention to detail and observation that I feel like we wanted to cultivate with the book in and of itself. Like get kids to not just look, but to observe. They're looking for information, and I think it's so nice because it mirrors field work. It's what scientists do.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And I can attest, I have seen a peregrine falcon take a full-blown seagull into the nest, and just like one wing is just like, Rah! And it's like, what are you doing? It's as big as the nest, but they don't.
It's also like Miri and I talked about this. We didn't necessarily want to like demonize any animals, and it's hard because there's that scene where like the gull snatches.
Oh, I know. That's terrifying.
I know, and like I read the book out loud to like a group of people for the first time 2 weekends ago. But then there's a scene later when it's a close up of a puffin eating the fish, and the fish is super worried. So I was trying to like balance out empathy where you're like, everybody's got to eat. So, but it is like these little nuances of like how to not villainize predators because like we're apex predators. Like, so
true. And we eat all that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Not puffins, but well, sometimes maybe depends on culturally, you know.
The thing that I learned about them that I sort of, I mean, I didn't really know much about puffins at all when I started the research, but one of the first things that I learned is that they mate for life. But what is interesting to me about that is that they do not spend very much time together, even though they mate for life. So they meet up at the colony and they're together for the breeding season, and then they go their separate ways for the whole rest of the year. And I just thought that was so fascinating.
But they find each other every year?
Yeah, they meet back at their same nest.
Huh.
Yeah.
Darndest thing. What if happens if one disappears? Like, do they find a new mate, or do they just stick around?
You guys, do you remember?
I think that's the case, at least with the ones that they've banded, and they can like track, because they'll actually track mates. And again, the island that we were studying has around 200 mating pairs, so it's a very small subset. It's the southernmost reach of like where Atlantic puffins are found. So they have this incredible amount of data, but on a small island. So I believe that they will track. They'll be like, okay, number blah 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 is not with this mate this year, but like that and they'll. That's how I think they know sometimes some of the oldest puffins is like they'll be like, wow, this one's coming back, and it's literally like they get the little bracelets, and then you have people with binoculars that are strong enough and zoom cameras, and then often when there's like banding events or weighing events, that's usually with the younger ones, like they'll get banded, but there's all these ways to like track individual puffins because it's really hard to tell them apart.
Yeah, I would think. Makes sense to me. All right.
What I thought was really interesting also, like maybe not related to the pufflings themselves, but for the rescuing of them, that this is like a family thing that they do in the Westman Islands. So, you know, it's around the time that like just before school starts again. So kids, maybe that, you know, they go to bed at like maybe, you know, 7, like after dinner, 7 or 8 or something. And then the parents, they wake them up, you know, if the children are willing to do so. They wake them up maybe around 11. And then they drive around the town till maybe, I don't know, 3 a.m., 3 a.m. or something. And then they go back to bed. So it's like a family thing that they do. I thought that was just so incredible.
And also they've been doing it as long as anybody can remember. Like
really?
Like their grandparents did it and their grandparents' parents did it.
Yeah.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maria, anything you learned yourself?
So many things. I mean, I think the thing that struck me the most was that they basically live their lives at sea, and they just come to these islands to nest for a few months. And so, you know, they're just really, they have bodies that are well adapted for the sea, you know, glands that they can drink salt water, these special
That was interesting. I thought that was fascinating. Yeah.
And also, they're, you know, unlike penguins, which I know Maris loves, they can fly. They look like flying footballs to me. You know, they have these small sort of bodies in the wings, but they can fly like 55 miles an hour. That's fast.
Like bumblebees.
Yeah.
The penguins are jealous.
Right. But and the thing that makes it different from Colleen and Linda's books is there's no need for a puffling patrol because there are no humans on this little island. You know, they have to worry about the predators when they're fledging, but they're not, you know, misdirected by lights or things like that. You know, human things that have made puffling patrols necessary in Newfoundland also. So that's interesting, I think.
Very cool. Well, I just have to find out now, what else are you all working on now that you have completely puffined yourself out? Surely you have other jobs that you're working on right now. So what are you working on? What can you tell us about? I'll say. Oh, it's all secrets.
I have a book coming out in January. It's called Rainbow Truck. And I wrote it with a co-author. Her name's Hina Abidi. And it's about a Pakistani decorated truck. And the truck is, you know, newly decorated. If you haven't seen the way they decorate their trucks there, you have to Google it. It's amazing. But the truck is basically trying to figure out what her most important job is as she travels through the country. And the illustrations are really cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah, well, I have a picture book coming out spring 27. A book that I wrote and illustrated. It doesn't have many words in it though, but it's called Bunny in the Middle, and it's a story where basically the whole story happens in the middle, in the gutter of the book. Like, yeah.
Oh, very Susie Lee of you. Very nice. Cool.
I don't know when it's coming out, but I've been working on a massive. I know this is like
no, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
It's I've been working on a massive graphic novel about life and science in Antarctica for like almost 10 years. And part of that is because I've had other books that I've been working on since then. There are a lot of penguins in it. So as Maria said, I'm very well versed in penguins. So it was really cool to kind of study how like penguins and puffins have a lot of similar adaptations, even though they're not evolutionarily similar. But it will come out eventually. I'm working on the pencils. It's like 430 pages long. So I've been like everybody's like, it's happening. And there's lots of like field stuff and like bathrooms in the field and cooking. It has recipes. It's a ridiculous book, but it will happen eventually. And
so have you been to Antarctica then for it?
Yes. Yeah. I spent 3 months there in the 2016-2017 season. So it was wild. It was real cold.
Yeah, that's right here.
But not as cold as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, so, that'll pair nicely with the Greg Neri book.
Yes, yeah. Greg went the year after me. I gave him all my tips and tricks for going on. I was like, this camera's good and bring lots of socks. And like, I'm so sorry you're from like he lives in Florida. So I was like, it's just gonna be rough.
Yeah, that's a skinny little book. So that's how he got out faster. Yeah. Also, he didn't draw any of it. So yeah.
Sorry, Greg, if you're watching this.
Sorry, Greg. Your book is awesome, Greg. I'm just saying. You didn't draw any of it. I'm just saying. Maria.
Well, I had another book that came out in April on oak trees called Just One Oak. And then I'm currently working, my newest obsession is on plants. And so I'm working on a plant picture book. And then my next book that's under contract that comes out is in 2028. And it's called From Forest to Sea, A Dead Tree's Legacy. And it's going to be illustrated by Jamie Green. So there are lots of books about dead trees on the forest floor, but this one traces the journey of a tree as it makes its way to the ocean and the ocean floor, basically. So
like whale fall. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very nice. Just One Oak. That wasn't Diane Sudica who.
Yeah, it was. Yes.
Oh, Diane lives here in town with me. Fantastic. Yes. Yeah. That's a beautiful book.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for doing this. Absolutely fantastic, and getting to talk to you about your books. And these books, I will tell people you should all find them. It's Pufflings Fly Free, A Rescue Tale from Iceland, and Puffins, which would be perfect for a musical should someone wish to adapt it. I think it would be.
Sorry, this guy here. That's the
that's how you have to say it. But thank you all for literally every single time zone we could come up with, meeting me here today. And I really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, everyone.